increased, but not increased. What's a word for better? Performance measured is performance...
Enhanced?
Enhanced, amplified. That's still not the word I'm looking for. Why am I drawing a fucking blank
I
on
don't know.
Podcast episode 54.
Maybe.
March 5th, 4:31. We're going to continue some words from yesterday.
It's super still.
Chef is alive. We saw him.
Yep. Thank you, gods of the food industry, to take us out of food purgatory that we have been in for the last few days.
With luck, these podcasts, both Rogan's and SOE's, are starting to change. People taking the time to listen to a story or a point of view with different points of view from their own and mulling it over. Hopefully, in time, we'll look back on these days and start as the start of change. As you say, these podcasts can be revisited. Good times.
I don't think we'll ever get Ben Shapiro to come in the bunker, though.
He might be scared.
I don't think we'll be able to do the things that Joe does.
I don't think we can talk as fast as Ben Shapiro.
No, we definitely can't talk as fast.
I don't think we have the vocabulary for Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro's a little too fast.
Yeah. There's motherfuckers here still pouring gasoline out on the ground and shit. Ben Shapiro won't come here. I would like to say bullies are weak by themselves. In high school, I caught my bully in high school gym one day, and he wasn't expecting it and pinned his ass to the ground. I informed him that he might be able to run, but there would always be that one day that I would find him not paying attention, and he would not like what was going to happen. The best part of his friends walked out of the locker room as he is yelling for help. They walked over and told him maybe he shouldn't be such a dick, and all walked off. One of the teachers walked over and told me to let him up, and we didn't have any problem for the rest of the year. Thanks for the videos.
Yeah, I mean that just goes back to what we said before. Is, bullies are always looking for the weak link. They're always trying to insert their dominance over the weakest part of the population. And a lot of times, just like that individual was talking about, it's just the knowledge that you are not going to allow him to bully you anymore a lot of times that will get a bully to steer the other direction, because they just don't want the hassle. It's real easy to go after the kids that are always going to run. It's kind of like A Christmas Story, when Ralphie finally decides to take on the bullies. I am sure that later on in life, those guys would have been friends and hung out and laughed about, remember that time you beat me up in the alley? It's getting that recognition. Once you stop being a victim, it's hard to be victimized.
I lead a boring life, but also an honest one. I have lived to impress my father. I am curious to hear y'all's outlook.
I lived a boring life, but also an honest one.
I have lived to impress my father.
I lead a boring life,
but an honest one.
An honest one.
I think you can have an honest life and not have a boring life.
Yeah.
I don't think the two have to go together. I think what you're asking is what's our thoughts on living. You lived your life to impress your father. Was it a good life? I mean, did you feel like you lost and missed anything by that? Fucking more power to you, man. I hope that all my kids fucking impress me.
And if you're living your life to impress your father, I'm just going to assume that your father is still alive. And this is what I'm going to say. Forget about impressing your father. Just forget about it. Reach for the stars. Whatever it is that you want to do, because you're saying something there when you say, I live a boring life. Reach for the stars. Go ahead and execute something that you always wanted to do and haven't been able to do for whatever reason. Go ahead and do that. And what you will find is, just by going out and doing that you will impress your father. Your father doesn't want the reality is, your dad, if he's any kind of a good dad, he only wants the best for you. That's it. He only wants the best for you. He wants you to be healthy. He wants you to be happy. That's it. That's all any dad could really want and strive for, because there are so many pitfalls in society today. So just...
Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to do it?
Get out there and grab something. Go ahead and reach for the stars. And I promise you, if you are happy, because it sounds like when you're putting that a boring life, that you're not happy with the life you're leading. If you strive to be happy in what you're doing, then your dad will have no problem being impressed by you. And you really shouldn't be trying to impress your dad anyways.
Just fucking jump in with both feet, man. Fucking do it. Commit to it. Figure out how to do it. You don't even have to figure out how to do it. Just go do it, and you will figure out how to do it. And a lot of times, a lot of the things like that I've done is because I fucking committed to it and burn that fucking bridge, burn those fucking boats. Like, there was no choice but for that shit to work. There was no turning back around. There was no way out. We had no fucking choice but to move forward and go through whatever was in front of us. Like, there was no option. That's why it always works.
That's how John always does everything. It'll be like,
burn the boats.
Hey, whoever from Japan wants 1,400 Musoc pistol holsters. And it'll be like, can we do it? John will be like, I have no fucking clue how we're going to do it. And yet that pile will be in the corner within a week of all these Musoc holsters that are going to be sent out. Meaning, John will commit to something, and we won't even have fucking material in the building. He'll be like, yeah, we're going to do 1,400. And you're like, dude, we don't even have... Where are we going to get the... What's the... And he's like, it's just going to happen. And then he just fucking goes. He just attacks it. Figures it out.
We don't ever have the option to fail. That is,
he just figures it out.
There is never a contingency plan. There is never a plan B, and there's fucking much less a plan C. You just go.
Even if that means you're walking around in the Target parking lot at 2 o'clock in the morning, cutting off all the Fastex buckles on the safety strip.
That's right, on those fucking. Come on, that was on the heels. That was back in the old day too. Like,
yeah, that was back in the old day.
The 100 years before that, they didn't even have seatbelts on shopping carts. So it's not like families were already conditioned to their children being strapped in. Fuck, it only been like 6 years that we'd even had fucking seatbelts in cars. Or at least me, my family, we had an old ass car. Like we actually had a fucking car with no seatbelts in it. Black and white TV. I didn't even know. Like, I watched movies, and I'm like, yeah, that movie was black and white. And Jeff's like, no. Your TV was black and white.
That movie came out in color. Your TV was
My first microwave had a crank on the side. You had to fucking wind it up. I know this is off topic, but I'm here. I am being talked down to by my father, and I'm working my ass off. He stays on... Is this the same dude? Same dude. He stays on my ass, saying that I'm not good enough. I literally don't know what to do. What does a 26-year-old do? Have y'all been through this? Do you live in his house? You need to get the fuck out of his house. You need to stop right now. I don't know what your connection to him is, what the concern is. You're 26 years old. If you're living in his house, you need to get the fuck out of his house. If you're not living in his house, you need to fucking cut that off temporarily and move forward and just fucking do some real shit. Whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Whatever that is, though. A lot of your biggest fucking problems will go away and seem like they don't matter when you start fucking getting your health and your fitness in order. When your body moves, it releases fucking endorphins. When that happens and you are tired, you sleep better at night. Fucking the solution will come to you when your body starts to get right. Your fucking head will fix itself. I don't know enough to give you any more advice. So give us some more information, and we'll see. Fucking, maybe we can guide you a little bit on that.
Yeah, truth be told, if you're 18 years old, if you're 18 years old, you should, and you're living at home, you should already be working on a plan to fucking extract yourself out of that situation. You will be happier. Your parents will be happier. There's a little bit of suffering that should be involved between 18 and say 26 or 18 and 30 that you should have to go through, meaning living in a shitty apartment with cockroaches and eating fucking top ramen. That builds character. And character will go a lot further in the long run than I'm living in my parents' basement at 26 playing video games. Not saying you are, but what you really need to do is get out from under the thumb of your father. If he's, it kind of sounds like maybe you're working
with him.
And that is going to be a problem. It's just gonna be a problem. You need to get out from under the thumb of your family, under the thumb of your father, and you need to go out in the world and you need to make something of yourself in the real world. You need to go out there and do that. And that in itself will, I'm telling you, I mean, I really don't know your family dynamics, but the reality is it's going to scare your father, and it's going to change the way he looks at you if you go out in the real world and try and make something of yourself. So you really got to get out from underneath your, the family hierarchy thumb. As a man, you're not supposed to do that. You are supposed to move out into the world. You need to go slay dragons, and whatever that may be, whatever kind of work you're doing, guaranteed there is nothing that you're doing that you couldn't do somewhere else. And it's just a better pride factor if you go out and do it on your own.
In the animal kingdom, we kill our weak. We eat our young. We eat our weak. In the humans, that doesn't happen. In a lion pride, the male has to leave or be killed. The male has to leave and find his females and fight for the right to breed. That doesn't happen in the fucking human world. Having read what you just said, I guess my kids could probably say that about me. I always want more. I always expect more. There's always more to do because that's what I do. So had I had me as an example when I was younger, or had I been bothered to fucking just listen to a little bit to old timers, or fucking dudes that had done more, or people that were just fucking had been around longer than me. Had I taken even fucking 5% of what they were saying, much less watched like my grandfather fucking worked all the time, when he wasn't doing construction or wasn't at the union hall, he was always working on small motors and bicycles and mechanical shit and taking them to the swap meet. Had I just fucking paid attention, and you see things differently. Like, as a 10-year-old, it's going to mean something different as a 20-year-old. And as a 20-year-old, it's going to definitely mean something different as a 40-year-old. So how do you accelerate that? How do you fucking get that through that young mind to where they'll fucking be open to it? And unfortunately, you really probably can't. I don't know what the answer to that is. I want my kids to do fucking better than I did. Had I done at 20 what I'm doing currently, there's no fucking telling. We would be unstoppable. I mean, I think we're unstoppable now, but we would be literally generations ahead of where we are now. So how do you get that through to them? I don't know what the answer to that is. Somebody says, I mean, my kids probably think that same thing.
My thing about that is you have to get out in the world and you have to carve out your own niche. You got to really want it. The thing about John is, the issue here is he loves what he does. He's doing something that he has a passion for, and he likes doing it. It's why he's been doing this so long. Even when it wasn't, the reality is, even when it wasn't paying his bills, he was still in there sewing shit. You could take stuff down to his house in Tierra and he would fucking figure out a way to fix it and put this on there and make it a little bit better. And for the most part, those guys that were coming down there and having that shit done, they weren't paying him shit to do that. Not in relative, when you think about the tactical gear world and you think about something totally custom. Like, he's creating custom works of art for these people that, the reality is those motherfuckers had the money to pay for the shit. But because he's at the beginning portion of his career, you're willing to sacrifice and just,
I need to get shit. I need to get
this stuff out there. And, like he was talking about the kids, is the truth be told, the passion wasn't there for doing this. Cody seems to have a little bit of a passion of what he's doing now. And he's already running a shop, so who knows where Cody's going to go with that. And that's the thing. You got to find your passion. If you're working for your dad in a shop doing something that he's been doing his whole life, you're 26 and your heart's not really in it.
You're wasting time.
That is the reason why he's on your ass. Because ultimately, ultimately, everybody in the back of their genetic DNA, they want to turn the keys of the castle over to their offspring. They want to be able to do that. The reality is, it usually never happens, and it usually never happens right. Even with you take fucking Ford, or you take any super company, it's usually their offspring usually destroy that company. To the point where board of directors have to take over, blah blah blah, where it becomes this big conglomerate. I was not able to pass it down to you. There was I was going to say buck knives, but there's just, you have to really, you need to go out. You got to go out and do your due diligence. Go find something that you're passionate about and fucking work hard at it. And if you do, and you can make yourself something in that genre, whatever it is, your dad, if he's rational thinking, he's gonna be proud of you.
Like as a father, especially somebody who's going to give over a multi-million-dollar company to somebody, you want to see those kids. You don't want to see them fucking. You don't want to come home Saturday and he's got 5 of his buddies there and they're all fucking stoned smoking weed. You want to get up fucking Sunday morning and your kid's already up and he's fucking already went for a jog, and you get up fucking after your kid gets up and he's like, hey dad, I was researching this on the internet and I think if we do this we can fucking save 10% here, and if we do this we can get our product fucking to market 20% faster. Like, that's what you want. How do you develop that though? Somebody in reply to this dude said, build a house bigger than your dad's. Also, like, don't get caught up on that. Like, really what I would tell you to do is fucking figure out what it is you want to do, figure out how to make money, and then do not go spend that money for a couple years, man. Nothing but 10% is yours. Fucking take 10% and play with it. The rest of the money stays in the fucking company. It takes money to make money. And when you have a little bit of money fucking put away, a little bit of money becomes a lot of money fucking pretty fast. And then you can make big moves. You can do fucking, like, I speak from an aspect of manufacturing. So I don't know really what it is you're doing, but when we started off, we had to use black webbing on fucking all of our desert shit. We had to use it on all of our green stuff, all of our woodland, because we didn't have $5,000 to have dye lots run. And that wasn't just $5,000. That was $5,000 of every size. So that's 15 grand in webbing. Yeah. It's 30 grand in Velcro. We didn't have that. I had a lot of toys. Had I fucking, and I was dumb. I wouldn't have saved all the money anyways. But we should have had that. We should have been able to make those moves and buy in a volume that would save us 10%. Because 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but 10% on $1 million, we spend well over $1 million every fucking year on materials. Way the fuck more than $1 million on materials every fucking year. So 10% of that, that's a lot of fucking money. And you're like, oh, you only save 10%. Well, the fucking product, the material, the raw goods go up 10 to 17% every fucking year. No matter what. We're using goddamn U.S.-made manufactured goods, and we're getting fucking left and right emails that cost of manufacturing, cost of goods is going up, raw goods, because of the China embargoes. Motherfucker, we're using very fucking compliant shit. Our shit ain't coming from fucking China. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. So, somebody says build a bigger house than your dad's. Also, keep in mind with a bigger house. A bigger house takes a lot more time to clean. I got rooms I ain't even fucking seen in the bigger house. Like, for real. Like, I empty rooms. Also, bang a 40-year-old stripper named Tiffany. Seriously, though, it's hard to look up when you're both looking down. I banged a 40-year-old stripper named Tiffany. And her mom. And her neighbor with her mom. Like, that's fun. Go bang some whores. That's fine. You just got to figure you out, man.
Yeah, you just become the best you can be. Quit worrying about what your dad wants you to be.
My wife and I live in Virginia and had a conversation with her. She is a registered nurse practitioner. The law late abortion would have only applied to non-viable, meaning that the children could not survive for long without support or extreme deformations. Healthy children cannot be aborted after birth under the law that was proposed. Non-viable fetuses is a fetus that not capable of living or developing. It can be expelled or delivered fetus, which, although living, cannot possibly survive to the point of sustaining life independently. even with support of the best available medical therapy. Cody Stout. Then why do we keep having these conversations? Because I listened to it myself, and that is not what I fucking heard.
That's not what they're proposing. They actually are talking about the mental welfare. They're talking about that the mother can go full term, have a baby, and if she decides that she does not have the mental welfare to sustain that baby, that they could euthanize that baby right there on the spot. That's what Virginia is proposing. So, and here's the thing about when you talk about who's deciding what is viable and what's not viable. There's actually kind of pay attention. There's actually been, and I am fucking surprised as all get it. There's actually been several people that have testified in front of the House recently that have survived real abortions. They survived real abortions.
How the fuck does that happen?
Fuck if I know, man. You got to be, because they tear those. I mean, survived real abortions. So who's to decide what's viable? I mean, they just had a baby recently. 20 months, I think, or 20 weeks. Some crazy number, unsurvivable, that now this baby's up and kicking and fucking running around the neighborhood somewhere.
How does that even happen? Like, if a mother's like, I want an abortion, does the doctor just like sneak that out on the side? Like, that wasn't supposed to ever leave the fucking...
Well, here's the... And I think this is more the predication of the law. This is really what the law's about, is... So for right now, if you want to get an abortion. So let's say you wanted to get an abortion. You have to go to an abortion provider. So you have to go to Planned Parenthood, right? Every year, the right, Republicans, are talking about defunding Planned Parenthood, get rid of Planned Parenthood, get rid of Planned Parenthood, get rid of Planned Parenthood, right?
Eugenics.
So if you get rid of Planned Parenthood, where do people go to get abortions?
The alley.
Yeah,
Mexico.
The alley, but the reality is you make it illegal. People, in theory, cannot get abortions.
No, they always find it.
Well, hear me out. So you make it illegal, or you get rid of Planned Parenthood. In theory, people don't have a place to go get abortions. You reduce the amount of overall abortions that happen in the United States. Now, if you are on the right and a Democrat, if you're a Democrat liberal, you can make an end run around that. So if you think that Planned Parenthood might be defunded to the point where it doesn't exist anymore, this is what you do. You pass a law that you can have an abortion full term. So if I go 9 months and decide I want to have an abortion, I can have an abortion. I no longer am doing that at Planned Parenthood. Now I'm doing that at my doctor's provider. I'm having an OGBYN do that fucking procedure because I have been going to the doctor for 9 months. So now that doctor who was going to deliver the baby is now required by law to give you an abortion.
So you think this is just a push to
it's
keep
just a
Planned
fucking
Parenthood?
it's just a fucking end run. So now instead of you having to go to an abortion provider, if I make it law that you can have an abortion all the way up to 9 months, then there's no longer a need for you to go to Planned Parenthood, because your doctor will legally be bound to conduct that abortion.
So do you think they're doing this so the doctors are like, fuck no, we don't want to do this, let's keep Planned Parenthood?
No, I think they're doing it because they want Christian doctors to be decertified, or they want doctors that refuse to do it to be decertified, to have to step down, and they want people to be able to get an abortion wherever the fuck they can get it, everywhere, right? Here's the thing. The problem is, and this is what you need to pay attention to. You need to pay attention to the whole picture. Right now, there are fucking Republican states that are taking it to the very minimum. They're like, 12 weeks. No, after 12 weeks, it's murder. After 6 weeks, it's murder. First, as soon as we hear the heartbeat, it's murder. So you got Republicans taking it to the extreme. You have Democrats taking it to the extreme. What is going to happen with all these things? This is exactly how the 18th Amendment was created. With all these things, it's going to end up going to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court is going to make a decision on when an abortion is legal and when it's not legal. And that's what they're pushing for. They're going to push this into where it's a national issue and it goes straight to the Supreme Court. Kind of like gay marriage.
Is RU482 still around?
Who?
The morning after pill?
Yes, it is.
What's the active ingredient in that?
I do not know what they use. It has to be a hormone because basically what it has to be a hormone because basically what it does is induce your menstrual cycle.
I would think just fucking pound a bunch of fucking aspirin. It's a blood thinner. Fucking
maybe. I don't know.
Tanks have been pulled out of Fort Knox for a while now, but the USMC tankers been here qualifying for about a week. A lot of new people freaking out about the booms and shakes that I've missed it. The U.S. is the only country in the world that states by FDA Food Code how much rat hair, mice shit, insect parts can be in food. For example, ground cinnamon can contain an average of 400 insect fragments per 50 grams. And ground marjoram can contain up to an average of 1,175 insect fragments per 10 grams. Fennel seed, ginger, and mace, a spice that's similar to nutmeg, can contain up to an average of 3 milligrams of mammal poop per pound. Only in the United States.
Then what that tells you is the only thing that tells you is the rest of the world does not care how much mammal poop is in their fennel seeds. The reason why, here's the thing: when you're in the modern world, so you're in the modern world, and you think about stuff like that, and you go, only in America. The FDA, when you look at these rules, and look at when they were founded, the FDA does not do these things. Like the FDA is actually the hardest one to get them to make a rule. When you look at when these things were founded,
the Mayflower.
We're talking 100 years ago. We're talking the Industrial Revolution. And the reason why that the FDA is doing this is because when they were slaughtering cows, the rats were climbing right up the cows, and they would just fucking slaughter the rat, and all of that meat would go into the same pile. What was it? It wasn't Animal Farm. It was... God, I can't remember the name of the book. There is actually a really good book about the... Industrial Revolution in the United States, and they talk about the horrible conditions that not only the child labor, but the horrible conditions of our food.
Warehouses.
Just the way they fucking stored and the way they stored and moved our food, and how many fucking bugs were actually in your food. That is the reason why the FDA does that shit. It's kind of like, the mattress tag. You have that mattress tag on there that says "Do not remove." Federal law, you can't remove this. It has to tell you what's inside the mattress. They didn't just come up with that. They didn't just hey...
dudes were reskinning old mattresses.
Yeah, it's because dudes were putting anything and everything in fucking mattresses. They were putting all kinds of crazy shit in mattresses, and you would have no idea what was in that mattress. It could have been fucking stuff with human hair or whatever. People were putting crazy shit in mattresses. That's why that mattress tag is on there, is because manufacturers, in the Industrial Revolution time period, people were taking a lot of shortcuts to make quick money.
It said, speaking of putting anything in mattresses, it said that your body, your biggest organ is your skin.
Yeah.
It said that your body sloughs off enough skin every year that if you were able to keep it all, you would have enough skin to make a whole corpse of yourself.
Yeah.
In your mattress.
Just
there.
In your mattress.
They did get here first, but Native American tribes migrated from Asia. Hillbilly said, "I met y'all at Blade. You were super nice, and I was an instant fan. See you in June." Right on, Hillbilly. Cracker Jack 182. Avocado Man. Can't even explain how awesome it is to have a daily podcast from you guys. Watch it every day after work, guys. Fucking love it. Right on. Thank you for thanks for participating, man.
Thanks for participating. Thanks for being part of the old podcast phenomenon.
I had a live feed last night on Facebook. You should go watch it. I think it was pretty fucking good. Speaking of foods, a few podcasts back, I mentioned a Titan fuel tank. Speaking of floods, one downside to that tank is with 3 tires in the rear, it makes the truck super buoyant. with 3 tires in the rear. What the fuck are we talking about? Found that out in about 3 to 4 feet of water here in 2013. Purdue Podre Canyon flood. Front end stayed planted with the heavy diesel, but getting out in 40 inches of water to lock the hubs to drive out sucked. Got it. You should have been locked in prior to doing sketchy shit. Operator error. I'm guilty of that. The same. Keeps life interesting.
I can't even imagine having to get out and do that anymore.
I could be a pussy and get auto-locking hubs or manual matics too, but that ain't gonna happen. Dude, the Toyota has the best fucking locking mechanism out of every fucking truck I have ever fucking owned.
I have never had a fucking problem. I have never had a problem with any of the trucks that I've had that had
Manual or automatic
a
locking?
fucking automatic
yeah.
push button. I've never had a problem.
Okay.
Now I'm not a four-wheel aficionado. Like I'm not out on the weekends climbing hills or any shit like that.
I'm not trying to tear up my truck.
Yeah, I'm not trying to fucking do crazy shit in my truck, but
Almost everywhere we go, there's a easy way to get there.
yeah, here in Tennessee, holy shit, man, the mud is slick as shit, and rule of thumb is do not let it dry. Do not let it dry on whatever you get it on, because once it dries, it's like fucking cement.
Mm-hmm. I see that all the time. These kids running around with mud all over their shit. Like they took and threw it on there. I go, not only is it like cement, there's so many fucking chemicals or whatever. It will literally eat your clear coat off.
Yeah.
Okay, this we're gonna start now. This one is off of podcast 49, the video. So here we go. Well, there's a lot of us on those first 2 pages.
First 2 pages? All right.
That's all our shit. 59 like. Come on, guys. We got to do better. Cody Stout, I agree. You guys want us to fucking do these, you have to fucking give us something to work with. So listening to the podcast right now, my question is for Skully. Are your gray hairs in your beard because of John?
No. My gray hairs in my beard are not because of John.
I'm easy to deal with.
You're a pain in the ass. You're not easy to deal with. You have to have here's the thing about John is, and this is the only reason why our relationship works, is you have to have a certain amount of mental telepathy. You have to predict. You have to be able to predict where John's going, what direction he's going, and if you can predict those lines, if you can kind of be in the same lane that he's in, smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. The minute you're like, I'm going black, John, and I'm going black with this, John will be like, what the fuck? We're going to do this in green. We always do this in green. It's just, you have to kind of, there's like this thing you have to have. If you can sense where John is going, you will be perfectly fine. John will be content. Everything will be good. You kind of have to have that mental telepathy.
There's some people that can be the mouthpiece of the group, and there's other people that I will kill.
Yeah,
So if you're not sure if you're a viable candidate to be the mouthpiece of the group, you should probably just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you gotta have kind of a, I don't want to say it's mental telepathy, but you just have to be a good predictor. It's kind of like playing dice. You just got to be a good predictor of how the dice are going to roll.
My boss hired a man who was homeless. 2 weeks later, after receiving his first check, he left. We've had a fucking bunch of those.
Jesus.
We have had so many we've had dudes come in here. I'm living in a tent. I need all the hours I can get.
Yeah.
I live 2 hours away. I'm gonna move closer. So what does he do? We give him a fucking job. He does a pretty good job. He never moves closer. He doesn't buy a truck for the winter. Instead, he buys a car. Fucking 2-wheel drive little car. Like, constant. All these dudes. Like, it's fucking crazy. They come in with a good song and dance, but the best work you see is the first week. It doesn't get better. It declines.
The problem is...
And then they're like, I'm going to ask for a raise. You're like, are you fucking kidding? I was going to fire you. I just forgot to fire you Friday. Like, legitimately, I forgot to tell you you're fired.
The problem with most people is that they have a concept of how a job works. Like, John doesn't do anything like a normal place. So, for example, would be like, let's say you're going to go somewhere and you're going to ask for a job. most people think, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to bring a resume. I'm going to
impress you with bullshit.
Can I, is it possible for me to get a job here? And usually, they'll be like, in most places, they'll be like, yeah, okay, we'll see you here Monday, 8 o'clock, be ready to work. John, on the other hand, and I know why he does it, but John, on the other hand, will be like,
Can you juggle? Can you juggle? Do you speak French?
Are you going to work? Get on a fucking sewing machine and start sewing. And everybody gets the same thing. Their eyes get all big and they're like, whoa, holy shit. All my kids are in the parking lot and my husband's waiting for me. I got to work right this minute. And then the next thing will be, I thought you wanted to work. The reality is, most people women. Yeah, most people can't. Most people around here can't really sew. And so it does no good to fuck around. It does no good to fuck around without finding out if they can sew at all. Now,
they don't even have to sew. They have to be willing. They have to want.
Yeah. Saying that, John will teach, or SOE will teach you how to sew if you want to work. And then the other thing is, people are used to like, for example, Walmart. If you're working at Walmart, you're not getting 40 hours a week. Why? Because Walmart doesn't want to fucking pay for your health benefits. So you're not getting 40 hours a week if you work at Walmart. So when you come in here and you're like, I want to work as many hours as possible. What you don't realize is John will work 75 hours in a week. So, okay, as many hours as possible. You can stay here and work till 10 o'clock every fucking night. You can come in at 6 o'clock. I mean, you can work as many hours as possible. But people don't realize what they're saying when they go, I want to work as many hours as possible, especially here, because the door is always open for work.
Typically, if it's a dude coming in here, he's got a story about how he's fallen hard times, how his wife has left him and took all of his shit. He's sleeping in a tent in the woods. We've had half a dozen of those dudes. Like, I'm literally sleeping in a fucking shed. I'm sleeping in my car. I need to get ahead. I will work. I want as many hours as I can get. No problem. We got it. But they don't ever do that. Like, the best performance you're going to see, unless it's dudes that are here. The dudes that did what they said they were going to do, they're still here. But the other dudes, they want to talk about it. They don't want to do it. Typically, when a dude is falling on hard times, and you get to talking to him, and that's how his whole life has been, that's how his whole life is going to remain. He is the only one that can change that. You can give him the opportunity, you can give him the tools, but when he goes out of sight, he puts the tools down and doesn't dig the hole. And that's just what it is. That's how it is. Typically, a dude coming in here who gives me a 10-page resume and it's supervisor this, manager that, fucking degree this. Why the fuck you coming here? Why aren't you running your own company? Because you're a failure and you're not everybody, but typically those dudes, there's a history of being a piece of shit. You have just hit rock bottom enough, or you're cold, or your wife is bitched because your electricity's been off an extra couple days more than it was last month. Winter's coming, we need some gas in the house. You come in and you do the song and dance and you work just long enough for that piece of shit to resurface. And that's everywhere. That's not just here. That's not just here. So listening to the podcast right now, my question for Skully Gray Hairs. He told us, back to the dude, gotta check him out.
And I'm old, that's why I have gray hair.
He told us, could go back to panhandling and make more. When we asked how much he made in a day panhandling, he told us on average $300 a day. Right, so why the fuck does he want a job?
Yeah, I mean,
and that's just because people feel sorry for him, and by giving them money, it makes them feel better about themselves. You are providing a service by panhandling, in that guy can go home and feel a little bit better about his big house or whatever shortcomings he has because he donated to the homeless guy. Stop fucking giving homeless people. Stop giving fucking drug users. Stop giving alcoholics. Stop giving your money to people that you can't fucking witness how it gets spent.
It's illegal to panhandle in Las Vegas.
It's illegal to hitchhike most places too.
I just remember fucking, I don't know where we were. I don't remember where we were, but some dude was was panhandling and asked Stojak for a fucking, Billy fucking was like, he went down the whole law. He's like going down the whole law about panhandling, and you know what? I'll have a cop here in 5 minutes to pick you up, boy, because I was like,
we're talking about a fucking war hero.
Yeah, I'm like, holy shit, Billy, and he goes, he just doesn't want to work. He's fucking lazy. They're all over around here.
I started working my current job and for my current employer when I was 14 years old. I had vandalized their truck, got caught, then had to work off the money that I owed. When I had worked off the money, I asked for a job and have been there ever since. There was a rotten old bastard who for the first 2 years I hated working with, but in the end he taught me how to make my own mistakes and learn from them. He kind of took me under his wing like a father figure in a way and molded me into who I am today. I still work for the same business, which is good and bad depending on the day, but run all the deliveries and ordering. You never know if that old miserable prick that makes you do all the dirty jobs you hate doing is really going to be the one that influences your direction in life. I would love to have a kid like that. I would love to have some fucking kid that we could fucking shape and mold. We've had a bunch of young kids around, and they don't want to fucking do shit. Like, even 6 months into it, we had a girl working here, and her kid would come around, and like, they don't want to do shit, man. They do not, like, if the kid's willing to put forth some effort and wants to learn, I will fucking spend my time to teach you how to do what I do, and be a man, and fucking do the animals, and do all the shit. They're like, you always hear about this generation. You heard Grandpa say it. You heard fucking Dad say that shit. And here I am. I guess that's because I'm getting older. But fucking kids, they do not want to do shit. They don't want to fucking do shit. And if you got some little delinquent, we'll fucking take them, send them here. But it's just like, I think moms are the biggest problem with a lot of it. Like, they undermine that shit. Like, it takes a man to make it takes a man to make a kid a man. And mom gets in the way of some of that. I'm not talking about Amanda and Babyhead. I'm talking about just fucking any of them that we've had through here. Yeah. Skully and John, they are taking any weapons that are not on the California DOJ list, such as AR pistols, which you could buy, but if you built it and registered it, then bye-bye with no resource. Edward Bentley, I don't think that's the case, man. I don't think that they're actually going door to door and taking guns. I think.
Well, outside of the program that we talked about, the prohibited person, I'm not 100% sure about your AR pistol issues with registering, because they did that re-registration. Here's the thing: if it doesn't fall within the guidelines, then registering, so you have to be sure what you're doing, because if it doesn't fall within the guidelines, being, if let's say you made an assault rifle, if it doesn't fall within the guidelines of the re-registration, then you are committing a crime in the state of California. It has to fit within those. It has to fit within the guidelines of the registration. So, like, there was a guy in fucking. It wasn't in Temecula. It was up north. A farmer, and they he re-registered. They did the re-registration, and he registered his fucking rifles. He had like 6 full-on. There was nothing wrong with them. They were just semi-automatic AR-15s, but they were assault rifles based off of the law. So based off the law, they were assault rifles, and so they fucking went and arrested that guy. Because he didn't have bullet buttons. He didn't have the things necessary to make that would have made those guns legal in the first place. Meaning,
so is there a hunter-killer team basically going out door to door? Do they have a list, or are we just going after prohibited persons?
Prohibited persons, really. And the other thing is, they can't keep anybody in those jobs. Everybody's quitting. If you want a job with the Department of Justice, the fastest way to get in the Department of Justice would be to volunteer for that fucking team, because they can't keep anybody in those positions.
Well, every now and then some of them get shot at.
I bet none of them are really getting shot
at. California.
Yeah, California. Yeah.
Y'all have anything special you want to do this summer? Bike ride, skydive, etc.?
This summer? I don't know.
It'll be
Not have to plant 700 trees that John wants to plant?
Good news, it's only 480. And that's in 2 weeks. Why do all the crazies on the left that hate President Trump have crazy eyes?
Because they're just crazy.
Skully has some lips under that stash.
Yep.
Deplorable 113. The latest Hillary interview. Check it out. Clone.
Hillary a clone? What?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Thoughts
Hillary's
on
crazy.
the left attempt to end the Electoral College. Love the podcast. Been a customer for years. Only buy the best. Made in the motherfucking USA. Jake, thank you, man.
Ending the Electoral College is a disaster. It would be a disaster since we are a republic. It's actually a disaster, and it could be a
Would
disaster.
Trump have won without it?
No, Trump would not have won. And it could be a disaster. Remember, a lot of times the Democrats do shit, and for whatever reason, the next election cycle, it backfires on them. It could be... I mean, think about it. If they get rid of the Electoral College and it becomes a popularity vote, then you only need New York City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco to determine who will be the president of the United States. Meaning nobody else has to vote. Like if everybody else in the country voted for candidate A, and New York City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco voted for candidate B, candidate A would lose if it's a popularity vote. So we are a republic. It's not about popularity. It's not about popularity. So getting rid of the Electoral College, so when people talk about all that one vote, one vote, it should just be whoever wins it. No, because then 85% of the country's votes would no longer fucking matter at all. They wouldn't matter at all. So you would be electing complete fucking Democrats. Look at California. Look at California. California has a system in place right now where it's the top three. So that's why there's nothing but Democrats that are elected in California. Very few Republicans elected in California, but it's because they have to run off against the top three in those districts. Terrible. But fucking, Democrats aren't doing so good. California is staring into a fucking abyss. They are staring into an abyss right now. If they can't figure out how to fucking take care of their pension liabilities, Democrats are through. Remember, California, while it's a more liberal state than most, it has not always been Democrat. They have been run by Republicans before. Same thing with New York City. So you have two of those places where, in theory, they could keep doing the shit that the Democrats can keep doing the shit they're doing, and they're going to lose those fucking towns. They will lose them. If fucking AOC keeps running her fucking mouth and keeps pushing jobs out, and the only thing Como can do is fucking continue to say, hey, we're going to kill as many children as we can, they are going to fucking end up losing those cities. And then if they get rid of, and the Democrats are the ones that get rid of the Electoral College, then when fucking Trump gets reelected in, 2050 or whatever, it'll be their fault. So realistically, the Electoral College should not go away. We should keep it because that's what makes us a republic. It's when people talk about getting rid of the Electoral College and going to a popular vote, it's because they are fucking ignorant, or they want to. They're hoping that they can ensure that their candidates stay in power forever, and that's not what the United States is about. I could see people going to guns over that more or easier than even gun confiscation. So, anyway.
Did you see CNN today? I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure. I saw that the NSA has shut down their observation program, their fucking banks of recording all the U.S. citizens' phone calls. I'm fucking 99% sure I saw that they've been ordered to shut the program down.
Here's my this is what I said.
If
the NSA was ordered to shut,
I've made it a point not to be on social media other than my own shit for the last 2 days. So I haven't seen any of it.
If the NSA has been ordered to shut down,
even if they said they were, damn well they're not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If the NSA has been ordered to, so it's probably something as simple as this. Let's say the NSA.
Let's tell them we're doing it.
Well, if the NSA, if they're like, okay, knowing Congress, because those guys, everybody in Congress is 400 years old, knowing Congress, they're like, they wrote the law up, so they're like, all right, NSA, you can no longer listen to any landline calls. And the NSA is like, oh, okay.
You can't listen to telegraph transmissions.
You can't listen to any telegraph transmissions.
Hardwire.
Shut that shit down. And the NSA is like, okay, we're not going to fucking tap anybody's cord telephones anymore.
Pickles are good for muscle cramps, just an FYI.
Are they? Huh.
And if you're a female...
so are bananas, by the way.
If you're a female, oral sex and anal sex is good for muscle cramps.
Especially the anal sex.
You should do a lot more of it. Love the podcast, guys. Over the past couple of years, you guys have motivated me to do more, no matter what it is. You also made me take pride in what I have, no matter how much or better someone else has it. About on that, how much or better someone has it. If you're worried about what your neighbors have, you need more trees. You won't be able to see them.
That's right.
And then turn that social media shit off. Stop looking at motherfuckers you don't know, because a lot of it's bullshit.
Just be happy with what you got. That's the big thing is that's what people do is they continually to buy into this. I need an iPhone 6. I need an iPhone 7. I need this. I need that. And the reality is you don't need any of that shit. Doesn't make you any happier.
Man, I get in here and it's like there's no oxygen. And I just fucking start yawning. I've started being you know what it is? Because I'm standing still.
Could be.
I've started being thankful for what I do have. I'm making it better and the way my wife and I want it to be. Not paying attention to other people or other family members. We're doing things the way we want to do them, because in the end of the day, we are what matters. Thanks for your positive talk and information. Keep it up, guys. P.S. Skully, long live the Republic, bacon, and 45 ACP.
Yes.
James Blackwell, you should you should get on my Facebook and watch the live feed video I did last night.
I want 45 ACP wrapped in bacon.
I really enjoy Skully's military stories. I loved hearing about the riots and hilarious TJ Hooker cover me story.
Yeah, TJ Hooker cover me.
All right, we're at an hour and a half now. We've been in here.
Is that too long?
It's not too long, but we got other shit to do. Let's fucking keep these in case we don't have, and then we'll knock this out tomorrow. Now that Gabby's back, we'll fucking
do it in the morning.
Yeah.
All right. You see that? You get a part 2. Deuces.
Deuce. Trey deuce.
Give me all this, so you're gonna fucking read all this shit again.
I'll read it better because I've already read it.